Star Trek gives us a world of those stationed in space, and those working for those whose missions are space-based. Add this population up, and it could represent, say, no more than 20%, and probably just a fraction of that, of the total Earth population. And here we're just talking about Earth. The point is, the majority of people live, work, and play with little or no connection to the crews of captains like Archer, Kirk, and Picard. So how do all these other ordinary people live? What do they do? Do they use money? This is a show that I don't think has been tried, and this episode talks more about what that could look like.
Podcast starts now.
The beauty of Star Trek for fans is that we don't have to stretch our imaginations too far out there to be able to relate to the stories. But the stories we're used to until recently haven't focused on the less glamorous roles and characters whose work and lives are more or less routine and even mundane. Lower Decks is one such example, a show that doesn't focus on the characters who lead the crew from the bridge, but on those who constitute all those others who keep the machinery running. It's in this vein that I started wondering. The crews, personnel, and support staff at Starfleet represent only part of the overall population in whatever century a given show is set. Not everyone works for Starfleet, right? Not everyone is a space explorer, traveler, or support staff, either stationed on, close to, or far from Earth. So what is society like in Archer's time? We've seen a somewhat nastier world population during the lifetime of Zephyr Cochrane, but after first contact, what do people do? Are they bankers, lawyers, firefighters, or football players? We never hear anything about ordinary people. In Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, we hear Kirk comment on how people in the century they are visiting through time travel are still using money. So when do they stop using money? How did the economy work? Aside from Starfleet and its accompanying academy, what were the biggest sources of employment for people on Earth during Enterprise, or during the original series, or into later shows? I think they could play on something here, crafting a plot line of a season or two that focuses on ordinary people. Hey, Star Trek, ordinary people. That has kind of a neat ring, and there could be a fun reference or nod or tie-in in some way to William Shatner's fantastic rendition of the song Ordinary People. So the fact is, even in the future of Star Trek, there's a whole lot of people who work for or work to support the whole space thing, but not everyone can do it. There's still a bunch of stuff that people need and a bunch of jobs that need to be done by ordinary people. I like the sound of it, but of course the idea needs a lot more work. But hey, it's an idea. Visit stephenchristiansen.ca for more episodes of Before, Behind, and Between. This podcast is available on all streaming apps and podcast platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn. I'm Stephen Christiansen. Thanks for listening.
Production of Stephen Christensen. Podcast complete.